So, sorry if I'm tired today, guys. It's been a lot. The last 5 days, I've been in search of what is the right vehicle for our family. So I've been looking at a whole bunch of minivans. I've seen like a dozen cars. I've seen Dodge Caravans, Toyota Siennas, Honda Odysseys, a little bit of everything. Um, and I've narrowed it down tonight, and we're leaving for Florida tomorrow morning. So delayed. I was supposed to be in Florida sooner than this, but here we are. Life happens. Um, I'm disappointed in myself, though. I want to confess. Before I talk about the fact that Bank of Canada is raising interest rates 1%, the prime's way up 1%, so that's going to have negative effects for anyone with variable rate debt, whether that's car loans or house loans or whatever. That'll affect you. If your rates are fixed, you're fine. Yeah, so here we are. And I spent the last week diving into like resale values, depreciation curves. I used to be super up on this, but it's been 5 years since I last almost bought. I think I bought our Mazda in 2018, so it's 4 years ago I bought our last vehicle. So I hadn't really been fresh on what's good. And the used car market is insane right now. There is zero supply. Like all the dealers are paying way over Blue Book. New cars are over MSRP. It's just a crazy time. It's actually a horrible time to buy a van, but I'm going to Florida and I need the van, I need the space to bring down some tools and stuff, and some supplies. So it's just, I needed the van. I just decided I had to buy one before I go to Florida, which was a stupid idea. But we're right now neck and neck between a 2013, lowish kilometers, actually 2013 Dodge Caravan that's fully loaded, DVD players, all that, the backup camera, all the 9 yards of, all the upgrades you can have. And then also the 2015 Honda Odyssey. And the price difference between them is like literally the Caravan is like half the price of the Odyssey, even though, the Odyssey is like not that many kilometers, 127,000 kilometers. Even though the kilometers are relatively high, I guess those vans go for like 300, so 100's not too bad. But yeah, it's just looking at so many models, and we almost had one and then they sold it on us, and we had another one they were about to buy, and we got into the title report and seen that it had a major accident. It's like there's just no good inventory. So anyway, wasted my time. I'm embarrassed of the fact that I value my time at $1,000 an hour minimum. I try for like 500, and I'm out here talking to all these people on the phone, talking about different cars and looking into them, and you have to coordinate with the mechanic to look at it, and you have to go test drive it and drive across the city 30 minutes to go test drive it. It ends up being a whole day just to look at a couple cars, and I've wasted days now in this process. And I'm like, do you know what I realized after all of this? Forget it. I'm just gonna buy a brand new 2023 Kia, it's called Carnival, and it's the best SUV slash minivan on the market. It has 8 seats, but what's sick is that if you check on my stories, you can kind of see it. The rows, all of them recline, and the back rows, they can face each other. So you can play like a game of like Monopoly or Settlers Catan in the back. Like 6 people can sit in the back like a limousine. It's like super luxe. If you get the upgrades, it's quite a nice vehicle. So given my goals of traveling back and forth between Canada and Florida, I'm gonna buy one for sure. So that's happening. It's just, what am I going to do from now until I can get one? Because they're like a year out to get one. If you want one new, you've got to wait. If anyone has any connections, by the way, at Kia, where they can get me a sick deal financed on a brand new one, 2023 or 2024, I guess is going to come out soon. Probably by the time the 2023s even arrive. Hook me up, because that'd be cool. I'm just so tired of used vehicles, and it's so much extra effort. If I value my time at $1,000 an hour, I've already spent the 40 hours investigating used cars and studying depreciation curves. Like the loss I'm going to have over the next year on the Dodge Caravan is probably like $2,000. Whereas the Honda Odyssey, though they hold their value, they're so expensive right now that when the used car market falls apart, which is going to, by the way, because repo loans are up like 800% right now, people are defaulting on their car loans. That's adding to the inventory in the market. So that's going to help fix a lot of the issues. As people, one, can't qualify and afford better cars, they have to get cheaper cars. And as well, they're going to have to, hopefully there'll be a lot of less demand, so you can get in there and negotiate a bit better deals. But yeah, I was between the Honda Odyssey and the Dodge Caravan. Still haven't pulled the trigger till tomorrow morning, technically, but I'm reserving the Caravan now. Brand new tires, brand new brakes, everything's been done nicely for it. So yeah, I don't know. The Honda Odyssey, it was close. The Honda Odyssey, the price difference though being like 12,000 something versus 24,000. Is it worth 2 of the fully loaded Caravans for 1 Odyssey? No, the Odyssey's like, Odyssey's better. It's at least 20 or 30% better. I drove 3 Siennas. They're trash. No offense. They are mechanically fine. They're when you drive them. Like the Honda, you hear nothing. It's just like silent. The Sienna's like more like a Caravan in the sense that like the insulation factor on the engine isn't there, and then just the audio, like the visual equipment, the analog odometer and stuff. It's just tacky inside. It just feels like a poor person's car. I know that the Sienna is a nice, reliable minivan, has great crash test ratings. I personally much preferred the Honda. I think I'm going to be frugal Mike and just go with the cheap car, the Caravan, because it's a throwaway. And I can just buy a brand new car that I want when I have the time to look into it. So probably what I'll do is buy the throwaway that I know I can sell for like 12, 11 or 12. There was lots of Caravans at 250, 270, lots of them running. Same with the Odysseys. I saw most of these vans are over 200, like on the market. A ton of that, and still obviously not as good. I agree, the Caravan is not as good for sure, but double the price. You could literally buy it. Would you rather have a 10-year-old Odyssey or a 5-year-old Caravan? Obviously a 5-year-old Caravan's better. So it's interesting, just the price differential there right now. Now if this was like before in 2020, before everything went crazy, you could buy an Odyssey for like 20% more than a Caravan, 25% more, right? The MSRP on new ones is like 25% difference. That makes sense. But 100% more for the Odyssey? Nah. People are like, oh, Honda's so, great. Okay, but is it twice as good? No, it's like 25%. So there's a big gap right now because there's not a lot of supply of Odysseys in the market. So you got to overpay big time to get that. Way over Blue Book. Whereas the Caravan, you don't have to because there's so many of them. You can just pick one up. So that's something to think about. And I don't know. I'm also rich enough that like it doesn't even matter. The fact that I spent 40 hours looking at cars and investigating all the different models, from the Kia Sorento to the Sienna, and I've driven all of them now, by the way. I've driven multiple times, different models, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018s. I drove them all, and 2020. So I've driven a lot, and I can tell you the Caravan is a worse ride for sure. It's not as luxe, it doesn't feel as good, but it gets the job done. And it has enough, Like, exactly. If I value my time at $1,000 an hour, crypto makes a great point. I'm actually like, I should flog myself with a whip because, like, so stupid. It's like when I used to stand in line, by the way, for, a gas, let's say gas was like 20 cents cheaper at a gas station. I've waited 45 minutes for gas before to save like $6 on gas or like $5 or something. And it's like, I'm staying with all the rest of the idiots waiting to get the good deal. And the time, it depends. I guess it depends on what you do at that time. If I'd have just watched like Peaky Blinders, which is what show I'm watching right now, I often binge different shows in the evening. It's my way of relaxing at the end of the day. Would I have spent that time binging instead of surfing, Auto Trader and Facebook Marketplace and Kijiji? Probably. But then I wouldn't be as tired right now because I stayed up way too late. And I'd probably be in a better place mentally. Would I have made more money this week? Probably not. Would I have made any better trades this week? Probably not. So what would I have done with that time? I probably would have just chilled with like the family. So that, I guess, what's my time chilling worth? It's probably not $1,000 an hour, my chill time. So it's hard to really put a value on that. And part of me was just genuinely curious about the depreciation. I mapped out the depreciation curves. It's just who I am. I can't not make an optimized decision. So I took in all the data points and I mapped the curve of the Dodge Caravan's depreciation schedule and then the Honda Odyssey's depreciation schedule and the Toyota Sienna as well as the Kia Sedona. And I mapped all those. And I actually looked at the Nissan as well. There's a couple others, but they didn't even make the short list. So really between them, the Toyota tends to you do have a drop off right away when you buy new to used, which like, okay, I get that like I'm rich enough I can afford that couple $1,000s for the luxury. And for a Kia Carnival, I'm going to do that. For my life to be more enjoyable, I'm for sure going to do one more wholesale deal or, one more small flip to pay for that vehicle done. Like for me, I should just invest 20 hours in that and then I can have the vehicle that I want, the vehicle of my dreams, right? So that's a no-brainer. I'm going to do that. Right now, I just needed a vehicle to get to Florida. Anyway, why did I spend so much time studying these depreciation curves? I don't know. It's stupid and I'm mad at myself. And it was Probably a stupid decision in hindsight. But I'm going to share with what I've learned from that. So maybe you can, if you're not, bazillionaire and don't have a lot of money, and you maybe are struggling with a couple $100,000 in equity in your house, and maybe you have a $100,000 your job, you should be actually not buying a new car and spending the time to look at the depreciation curves. If you can own every car I've owned for the last 9 years has cost me zero, nothing. Every car I've bought, I drove it for a couple years, sold it for what I bought it for. Every single one. So that's huge, right? In the sense that like my car has cost me nothing. Most people 5 years ago bought a car and they bought it new for 50 grand and now it's worth 10, right? Over their lifetime, they lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that compounded effect is significant on your net worth in the early stages of growth. Later on, once you have a lot of money, okay, treat yourself, if you can afford to do that. I think a car should be no more than 1% of your net worth. So if you have $1 million net worth, that means you should be buying a $10,000 car. That's just me. That's the way I've always operated. At the most 1%. So if you have 100 grand, that means you have a $1,000 car. You drive a piece of shit, and that's okay. That means you get like a shitty Honda Civic, and that rule might sound crazy, but that keeps you from spending too much on transportation, which is just to get you from point A to point B. You could make the argument for the luxury stuff, but it's just, when I buy a house, I can run the numbers, I know I'll make a profit. With a car, you always lose, for the long term. You're going to lose on it. So the goal is to lose as little as possible or to meet other objectives like enjoying luxury and accepting the fact that there's costs associated. So let me go to the question answer here for a sec. The Caravan is somewhat unreliable, but at this point, the one that I'm looking at, like there's no engine or transmission issues and brand new brakes, brand new tires, go wrong, right? When you have pretty much everything taken care of. Things will fall apart quick. Yeah, I don't know if they'll quite fall apart, but it'll definitely put strain on the current financing system for most people. So, can you open TFSAs as interactive brokers? You most certainly can. Can you, Toyota Sienna, someone says. I don't know, I wasn't a big fan of the Sienna, just because, reliable-wise, it's great, but it wasn't a smooth ride. It was loud and clunky. The handling wasn't as nice. Like the Honda Odyssey for sure was leaps and bounds better, and the Kia Carnival is way better than everything else in class. If you're looking for pure luxury, like handling and everything else. Mike should go EV. Interestingly, they do have a lot of the vehicles coming out now are hybrid. So that's the reason I wouldn't go full EV is because what if you're stuck without a charging station? Like I go up north to visit the cottage or whatever, or go anywhere on a trip, and let's say I go somewhere in rural and there's no charging station, I don't want to be stuck. I need to have that fuel source. So for me, it's not really something that I'd want to do. Did you sell any rigs to buy the Caravan? Nope. Didn't sell any rigs. Still got them all. It's not a great time to be selling rigs right now. Crypto is depressed big time. So there's a plethora of tech parts. You can literally buy them MSRP now and order stuff and build your own, where you couldn't before. It was impossible. You were buying off scalpers. We're checking out one of our properties there, a flip project. So we're going to be involved in doing that. And so follow me along, and you can. I'll be sharing some of that journey. It's worse than we expected inside, but for the price that we got it, we can't complain. So there'll be good, juicy upside. Assuming the real estate market doesn't fall apart, there's a really juicy profit there. So it depends on whether or not the market falls apart. We might be holding it and there might be a smaller profit, but the chance of losing money is very, very low because it's a very smart buy. So yeah, we're excited for that. He wanted to do it, obviously. Yeah, I wanted to increase my knowledge. But in hindsight, like I actually should go and flip a couple of cars right now because I understand the depreciation curve. I should go find a couple of cars on that depreciation curve and arbitrage that. But then it's still like, even being a car sales guy, if you're selling used cars, you're gonna make like what, a couple $100 an hour maximum. It's a shit job. It doesn't pay well. So I shouldn't have spent my time learning that skill set. I was just curious and I went down a rabbit hole. Shouldn't have. It was not a good use of my time. Next question was here. Everyone wants imports. Yeah, it depends. Some people do, some people don't. They seem to be more desirable for sure. Where in Florida are we heading? So north of Orlando area is where we're heading. So checking out a project there. Keep you guys in tune. It's near Georgetown. Hey Mike, would you start looking for a real estate deal but not confident in the stability of my job as the industry is slowing down? Any advice? Well, if the industry is slowing down, you're not confident in your job because, again, we're going into a recession. This is the time to buy. Well, you have good T2 income or T4 income. No, it's not in Jacksonville. Yeah, so it's definitely one of those things where if you want to supplement some of that income you might be losing going into a recession, buying the right income property could do that. Be careful what you buy. Don't go crazy buying at top market price, because if things do correct 10 or 20%, you could be underwater for a time. Over time heals all wounds. So if you get into a good deal that's cash flow positive that you don't need to sell, no problem. You can literally just ride it out, and you'll have in 5 years in real estate you'll be way up. Opposite to cars, where in 5 years you will always lose. Right? They're different things. It's not an investment asset. It's a utility asset. Next one was finally caught a stream. Hey, good. Glad to have you on. Any advice on mitigating risks or effects of a job loss in a recession? So yeah, I mean, it's going to happen. High interest rates combined with slowing economy, combined with all of the money printing that went on, and now the faucet turning off, that's going to create a bit of a shortage in available capital, which will lead to layoffs. So there will be some job loss. It will be painful for some folks. The majority of people will be okay. Their crypto account will fall. Mine too has fallen. Stock account will fall, but the world will go on, right? Property values will dip a bit. We won't have a full crash. Again, remember, there's still a supply-demand imbalance issue. And so long as that exists, there's still, people are still hungry. They just, what can they qualify for to buy? So once the cash buyers have bought up as much as they can, then it comes down to some financing has to come into play. So price will fall a little bit, but it won't be a major correction. So I think that I do think if you can find the right deals now and negotiate very hard on the right properties, that it's a great opportunity to get into cash flowing assets that over 5 or 10 years, if your time horizon's long and you're not, if you weren't planning to sell in the next, say, 18 months, which again, most people getting into real estate, even if you're flipping, you should get in with intention, or rather the backup plan that exists that you could hold that property. The reason I like, low cost properties, single family duplex, the smaller stuff, is because, and income large cash flowing stuff too, is because those markets I can hold, those types of properties in any market I can hold, right? And I can be cash flow positive and sell when the timing is right. You never want to sell at the bottom. Like, now is not a great time to sell. Speaking of that, I sold my sixplex, if anyone wants to buy it. If I don't sell it for what I want, I'm going to have to put a mortgage on it. And that's a lot of work for me. I have to send all my paperwork in and get an appraisal and blah, blah, blah. I hope someone just buys it so I don't have to do that. It's nice, turnkey. Otherwise, just keep it, not a big deal. I will give a special for anyone watching this. If you're watching this right now, the address is 337 Bowler Road. It's in Byron in West London. A beautiful, beautiful sixplex, all redone, freshly tenanted, $10,000 a month $102,000 a year in rental income. And I would probably take 1.18 as a special, 1.179995 as a special right now. So if someone hits me up and they want to buy that, now would be the time to do that. I had offers in hand at 1.42 before, and I had listed at 1.49 at one point on MLS, and it actually would have sold at the peak. So you can get a $400,000 discount on that, almost a $400,000 discount on that sixplex if you want. It's cash flow positive. It's one of those things where as rates rise, it's going to do fairly well. It's one of those properties that's, if you were to compare this to like an East London garbage sixplex, then like, King Edward or Adelaide or some shitty area, draw a line east of Richmond, which is like garbage London. On that half of London that's the trash, or the Soho trash. If you compare the two, I'm selling it at a similar cap rate to these garbage sixplexes in those areas, and mine's way nicer, way better location. Location is the important part, the dirt that it's on, right? You can't move a B or C class building into an A class area. So location is super important. That's a gem. That's just like, to make an analogy to like a Pokemon card, it's a Charizard. yeah, anyway, it's something nice that if I have to hold it forever in my collection, I'm fine to do. But my partner who did all the renovation work on that, he wants to get his cash out ASAP. So that's also an option. If someone wants to come on and partner with me, I'll put up the equity, like the down payment. We could partner up, and you can qualify for the mortgage on it, do all the running around with the bank, and I just don't want to do it. If you want to do it, cool. I'd happily JV at 50-50 or something so that I don't have to do anything. There's already turnkey management. She's amazing. My girl in London here, she's fantastic. She plays great tennis. She's a really good manager. I don't do anything with the property. It's completely hands off. So it already is passive, but I do have quite a bit of capital trapped in there. My partner wants to get bought out. So I have to sell or refinance, and refinance is such a pain. Anyway, the shameless plug is done about that property. I know people watching this are probably into real estate, and so I figure why not. I do have 4 other properties that I could sell. I'm not urgently trying to sell. I got a triplex. We could keep it. My dad's currently living in one of the units. I got a new place he can go if we sell it. My other one, my mom lives in that property, so like I could sell that one. I got a place for her to go, but that property also doesn't have a mortgage on it right now, so it's a lot of capital. I have $700,000 tied up in that property, just cash. That's really stupid of me. From an optimized finance perspective, I should be redeploying that capital, so I should sell that property too, probably, or go and refinance it. And I got a couple other ones. Those ones have good mortgages on them, like 2%, 2.5%. So I don't need to sell those ones either, but I'm always open to an offer. I actually want to have no small-time rental properties. I just want to evolve into bigger buildings. That's where I want to go. And Ontario is just not really a place that I long-term want to be investing. I want to be getting some cottage country stuff, maybe, is like the only way I'd invest in Ontario, and then going to the States. So just part of my plan, but everyone's got a different plan. I get it. So yeah, if you're one of those people, hit me up. You know where to find me. rosehartcapital@gmail.com, at Mike Rosehart on Instagram. I have some more of these questions here. Glad you made it on the stream. That's awesome. 1% increase in interest rate today. Yes, Bank of Canada came out and surprised us all. We were expecting 0.5 to 0.75, and 1% was a bit of a shock, but inflation numbers are off the hook. 1.3% on the month over month. That's over a 12% annualized right now at the current rate. So as we continue to tighten and that sort of constrains the economy, we will see inflation come down. The government will get it under control. Don't worry. Am I buying real estate deals right now? Yep. I just bought one last week and assigned it. We also have, I picked up a deal in Port Franks, Ontario. So if you like cottage country, it's 2 cottages on 1 lot. If anyone wants to take that over, it's closing next Friday. I will close on it. My dad will do all the renovations on it. I'm happy to JV it with him. My dad and I have an ongoing relationship where I'm, helping him out. So that's something that I'll do. Alternatively, if you want that play for like $669K, which is like $7K profit for me, I will assign that contract to you. It can be yours. Its ARV is like 900,000, so there's a good amount of lift there. It's 2 cottages on one. It's got a nice water view right on Lake Huron there, or just not on the water, it's back from the water, but you can get a water view. It's across from a marina, a beautiful little area. So if someone's keen on that too, got that closing. We got a couple other properties that we're actually anything sub 300 right now. I have one of my old mentees, Jonas. He wants to keep doing some deals, so I will continue to do some more deals with him. But by myself, I have no interest in buying anything. Most of the buying that I'm doing right now is like, this is weird, but like I'm trying to help out people in my life, and that's one of the skills that I have, is like find stuff under market and then we flip it. So I know people that are looking to make money, or they've been downsized or whatever, and it's like I want to help that person out. My dad, as an example, doesn't have a job, so I'm trying to help him out, right? Jonas also, I'm trying to help out. So people in my network that are close to me, that's why I'm doing deals right now. Is like I don't really need the money. I honestly don't need to work at all. My passive income just from my dividend portfolio is more than enough. So it's just, for me, it's just gravy, so that I can get a Kia Carnival as an example, and we can have 6 seats in the back and play Settlers of Catan on our way to Florida. It's just like those luxuries that. And by the way, I think the Kia Carnival for my family is better than a Tesla. I wish it was self-driving. That's the one thing. I wish it was self-driving. That's literally the only thing I can think of that it doesn't have. But luxury-wise, I think it's nicer for our family and our fit than even a Tesla, or like even a Lambo, or some nicer vehicle. And that's like 60 grand or something. It's not even that expensive. for how sick it is. Go look at some pictures right now, some of the cool interiors. It's it's really nice. Noel, how you doing? Hey Mike, love your content. Do you often take down properties sub to seller financing or other creative financing strategies? And if so, how do you structure them? I've taken down deals like that before. More often than not, the way I structure it is like, here's cash. You don't have to worry about anything. Firm offer, walk away, and I work on the price. But yeah, sometimes you can pay more on the price or work on the price and get financing terms where they give you, your down payment. You get a second mortgage from them at 25%, and then you can go get a first mortgage of 75%, and you close the deal with none of your money, zero. You just took over a property for nothing. Now you can go and hopefully better utilize that property than they did. Maybe through some strategic renovation, you can improve the value of it. 2-bedroom to a 5-bedroom by putting up some partition walls that are non-load bearing, non-structural. It's super easy. Or maybe there's a way that you could just change carpets and out to vinyl plank, and now it's modern, and paint it. And now the rent goes from, it would have rented for say a month, and now it rents for $2,000 a month times 2 units in a duplex. Boom, now you just added like $1,200 a month in cash flow to the bottom line. That could be in your pocket by repositioning the property. There's things you could do. Often getting old tenants out that are bad tenants or slummy tenants can improve the value of the property significantly, because no one wants a trash property with trash people in it. So that's a big one. Getting rents up too is another way. Getting costs down. So if you get on insulation, put more efficient units in, you can get the costs down. Lots of ways to add value. So yeah, definitely when you're setting up creative structures, there are so many ways to skin the cat. You can set up first mortgage, second mortgage vendor takebacks. You get 100%. I know someone who walked in and said, hey, I'll give 10 grand, I'll take the property off your hands. If the person owns that property in cash, great. And they don't mind tying that cash up and they want some passive income, you give them an interest rate and say, hey, I'll pay you $1,000 a month. Now you're the mortgage holder, you're the bank. And they're like, oh, cool, I'm the bank? That's a great idea. So it can be great for certain situations. It's also, how else can you get creative? In the US, some of the mortgages, or a lot of the mortgages, are assumable. So you could literally take over their first mortgage, and now you have to qualify for any financing. You just got to basically just assume their mortgage. Sometimes the lenders are pretty strict on assuming. It depends, but oftentimes you can just assume existing mortgages on a property and just assume all the payments. So a lot of the Canadian mortgages aren't assumable or portable between people. So it's more of a US thing, but that's another cool thing you can do. What else can you do? It's also really good for this, like when you're trying to pitch it to the seller, because let's say they have a $100,000 gain, especially in Canada. A $100,000 gain, if they sell, they got to pay a gain in year one. But if you vendor half of that as a vendor financing and pay it out over 3 or 4 years, they can defer that gain over say 4 or 5 years, pay 20% of that gain every year. Then that works out way better for the seller, because instead of paying say $100,000 in tax, they may pay $60,000 in tax spread out over 5 years, because you can actually delay a capital gain over like I believe it's over 5 years. Check with your accountant, but over 5 years. When I sold my shares in my active business, the medical company we had in Toronto, to my partners, my stupid lawyer set up the deal wrong. It was set up as a capital gain, and in the last minute, we didn't notice that they changed the wording in the contract, even though it said to be paid out as a capital gain and taking out the shares. He structured the name as the company absorbing those shares as opposed to the partners buying it out, and that made it not a capital gain, made it active, non-eligible dividend income that I had to pay tax on in year one on a payout that I got in year 3. So I had to pay tax on money I hadn't even received that was owed to me. And if they defaulted, I would have had to refile those tax returns and get the money back. So it's just a really shitty tax setup. Don't do what I've done from those mistakes, and have a good accountant review all of your big deals. Like when you sell a property, have them think of ways to structure it, because I love selling properties with vendor financing because it can delay, as a seller, because it can delay my capital gain over a longer period of time. So that can be pretty huge. And that can be pretty great. So it can tip a deal and sometimes get you a little bit better on the purchase price and whatnot. Juan from Sarnia here, do you need any help with anything? Employees? At the moment, I could use a good personal assistant, or like a virtual assistant or something to help out. It depends. The bottom of the market is coming, and I'm going to look to set up a little wholesale division just for myself. So literally just so that I can have people out there hunting for deals for me at the bottom so I can buy some great deals. So if you want to partner up, say 50-50, and I'll show you the ropes and I'll help you generate leads and we'll invest together in marketing and whatnot, and you go down there and close those leads, I'll buy them all. Half of the work of wholesaling is literally finding a buyer for that contract that you've now, let's say you go find a great property and you lock it up under contract. In this market, there's no buyers. So in this market, you'll be calling every investor and no one's going to pull the trigger because they don't have the confidence. But if I'm going to buy them myself, then you don't have to worry about any of that. If it's like, hey, I'll buy it, boom, done. Then if maybe I just decide to assign it, but worst case, I can actually buy the contract. That makes it a lot easier to write a lot of offers and do a lot of volume because you're not afraid that, what if I can't close on this? And what if I can't find a buyer for it? It just makes it a lot easier. So that is something I'm looking to ramp up in a bigger way. I think that that's going to be one of the strategies I use to explode during this recession. And I'm down, like my crypto's down. My stock's actually not down that much. I've been shorting it the last couple of weeks and it's been great. I'm actually benchmarking against the QQQ, which is like the NASDAQ basically. And I kind of split away by shorting it. And so now I'm like, it moves down 2%, I move up 1%. I still have some longs, so I don't move up exactly 1-to-1, but I've been just breaking away because I've been shorting. And I continue to short into Q3, Q4. So protecting a lot of my positions. Like I have a huge position in Amazon, but I've been just selling calls on it, trying to get rid of that position. And my thought is like, if the shares get called away, I'll just buy back in again in Amazon. If I miss a couple percentage, let's say it does spike and I'm wrong about it going lower, then I'll just buy the Amazon shares for a little bit more later. I still love the company. I think it's extremely undervalued. It's one of like 20 plays that I really like. But if it does go down, then I've got those calls to protect my shares that I own, right? So if the share price goes down, I make money. If it goes up, I make money. If it goes up a lot, I lose my shares, but I don't lose any money, right? I just lose some potential upside. I'm okay with, in this environment, I'd rather not lose money than miss out on like a ton of money. I don't think a big rip is going to come quite yet as they continue to tighten. The minute that they tighten into a recession and then everyone's like, hey, we're in a recession, when the government acknowledges that we're in a recession, the job layoffs start, the pain, it will come. We're going to have that. That's a result of high inflation and cranking of interest rates. The tightening results in recession. So we will eventually hit a cycle of recession. It's coming in the next 12 months. So it's smart to be trading the market flat, I think, right now. But what we'll see is as soon as that happens, they have to then spend their efforts on solving the recession in the economy more than inflation, right? Because by the time inflation comes down, we'll be in a recession. Then they'll have to start lowering interest rates again and stimulating with stimulus. That's when everything's going to rip. So that's right around that time when they start stimulating is when you want to get into the assets. If you're trying to be more macro viewed. Over a 20-year period, you buy a property now, you'll be just fine. You can negotiate some great deals right now. You'll be just fine. Yeah, so that's all I got to say about that. Remember to like. Thanks, Cyrus. Appreciate that. Thoughts on paying thousands to join mentoring groups? It depends on the person, I think. More than anything else, the smartest thing you can do is do what works for you. If you're the kind of person who needs to put a couple $1,000s of your skin into the game, pay that money up, and then be forced to be accountable by your mentor or your group of mentors, and that's going to get you to take action, awesome. Most people, 80% of people, buy these courses, don't finish them, don't put the effort in, or like I put the money out, so I do it, and then don't, and just waste their money. So majority of people who buy courses waste their money, unfortunately. But there are some action takers who get a lot of benefit, and being around, I'll just say this in general, paying for courses aside, having mentors is an absolute yes. You need people on your level to bounce ideas off. You need people who are a chapter or two ahead of you to bounce ideas off. You need people who are 10 chapters ahead of you for mindset and for overall goal setting and strategy setting. It's really important to have those mentors in your life. And if you don't have those in your current network and paying for them is the only way you're going to get access to them, worth 100%. If you're trying to grow a business or you're trying to, depends on your goals, I guess. If you're like early retired and you're just chilling, no, like there's no value there. If you're working like part-time at something, no. But if you're going 60 hours a week trying to build an entrepreneurial empire or something, hell yeah. Business coaching, mentorship, necessary, absolutely necessary. And I might even go as far as saying like, performance coaching and psychological performance coaching as a high performance entrepreneur, super valuable. So it depends on where you are and who you are. It's not a one size fits all. A lot of people waste their money doing it, but can you go from A to B twice as fast with a mentor? Hell yeah, you can. There are shortcuts. There are ways to do it faster and better. So yeah, I mean, there's value there for sure. Am I open to JV opportunities? Potentially, if the right thing came up. I'm always open to be pitched. Probably not. So do you have any active income businesses? Well, it depends. Yes, technically. My active businesses are my lending business, my wholesale arm. I did like $500,000 in wholesale income in the last 12 months. That's just me actively. Well, it's the operation is me and an assistant. I come across deals and I assign those contracts to people that I know. So yeah, I've done in the last 2 years over $1 million in active revenue, just me assigning contracts. So that's not really me being a realtor, but that's me being, and I am a realtor, but that's me being in the game. Yeah, so I do have active income. That is one of the active things I do. So lending on deals, appraisals on deals that I lend on. Sometimes I'll do a coaching package with that deal. If someone's doing a flip and they want some help, I might say, hey, the interest rate is this much, but I'm going to charge you a $10,000 lender fee, and that includes me coaching you and whatever. So I do some active stuff. I try not to. I like my time. I don't like to be chained to a desk. My absolute worst fucking day in the world is I wake up and my schedule's locked and I have appointments. I like to wake up and my calendar's open. I have like one thing I have to do that day. And I'll fill it. Like if someone happens to message me and I have an open calendar, I'll just fill those spots. But I like that I can cancel my calendar at any given time. So yeah. It's been a good month too, by the way. I'm up $380,000 on my stock portfolio in the last 30 days. I know the market's been taking a shit, but like I've just been ripping up. I'm recovering. I might get back to losing that 20% that I lost to the NASDAQ as I followed it down. I might be able to break that. If we get down to like NASDAQ minus 40%, I'll be good on the year. I'll be zero on the year. So the market will be down 40 and I'll be at zero. That's me beating the market by 40%. If that happens, by the way, I'm going all in on ETFs and I'm not even actively trading anymore. Because you know what? If you beat the market, like you're an anomaly, stop. Like I don't have an edge. I do not have an edge. It'd be pure fucking macro luck analysis. You know what's funny is people joking meme stocks. Yeah, GameStop has outperformed the NASDAQ, the S&P. It's crushing everything. Crypto, all of it. Like, fuck, I shit on the stocks, but like GameStop's been outperforming year to date. Who knows? The world's crazy. The world's crazy. That stock should be at like $20 a share. But I don't have the balls to short it. That's for sure. I do not have the balls. Interest rates are owning people already. I was watching this person on TikTok and she's going to get sued for not closing on property. Yeah, so interesting stat. 16% of, or no, 20% in some states up to 25% of all deals closing, I believe in June, didn't close. 1/5, over 1/5, in some places 1/4 of all firm offers, like deals that have waived conditions, you can't back out, you'll be sued, are just walking away. That's fucked. That's like 2008. Like we're getting like into some shitty territory, which is great for someone like me who has almost no properties and a pile of cash. I'm still ready to go. I got a huge pile of gunpowder and I got investors behind me with tons of gunpowder who are ready to go when the moment's right. And we're getting closer. I might start nibbling, like I'll buy the odd property here and there. Right now it's just with, people in my network that are, close by. I don't have the scale to build a business around it, and I'm not ready yet to do a full active like I don't really have a wholesaling business. It's like I come across contracts and I assign them. But imagine if I had staff running out to get these contracts, and then we had people, working with the investors to assign it. I wouldn't have to do any phone calls, and it was all automated. We could get a business like that going at the bottom. I think it's going to be a really good opportunity for that. So I'm debating building out an active business doing that. I had an active business, I was doing all the joint venture partnerships, and we were actually doing in-house construction. We had 25, at one point I think at the peak we had 45 properties under rehabilitation. Some of them just tenant turnover, whatever, but like floors, paint, renovations, some stuff was extreme, some wasn't. But I think at one point we had like 90 contractors, And I had one general manager guy, and I remember he was off for a bit, and it all came to me. We had 90 people. They all asking me questions. What do I do here? What do I do with this? What do I do with that? I'm like, talk to this person, talk to this person. I was like, it was crazy. It was crazy. I don't want that life again without really good, like I would need a really good running mate to do this. I would need a partner that is just amazing on the ops side to run point with me. It's a lot. It's a lot running a business with a lot of staff and doing all that. I was excited to wind that down. I'm glad I wound that down. I wished I wouldn't have wound it down in 2019, 2020, because, you know, if I had just kept going, the market just exploded. I could have made tens of millions if I had just kept that business. But my partner left. Remember, he went and chased the other business, and you know, there were some operational issues that he wasn't a perfect fit for it. So it wasn't all wrong, and we're still friends, and it's all good. But yeah, it was a fun time, but also a very, very stressful time. Active businesses can be very, very stressful. And I built this fuck you money portfolio so that I don't have to do things I don't want to do ad nauseum. You know, for a day or two, it's fine. I push myself, but yeah, over the last maybe 3 years, I've done active income of like $1 million, probably. I don't know. I have to look up there's expenses too, right? Like that's top line. There's obviously expenses associated and write-offs associated with that. So that's not all profit, right? But yeah. Most of my incomes come from capital gains, just passively holding a bunch of properties too. You gotta remember that. That's been my majority of where I built my wealth. What is this about? Oh, well, GoFundMe. Did you negotiate when you got raises at your job? How much did you get raises per year? Yeah, like there wasn't a lot of room at my job for negotiation. I did get promoted every year, but there wasn't a lot of room. It was like if you're this position, year 1 you get this, year 2 you get this, year 3. It was very there wasn't a lot of flexibility. Like you could maybe negotiate. I had heard of like superstars getting $1,000 salary more a year, which is like a couple cents an hour. Like I don't even know. Not much difference. But yeah, I mean, if you can negotiate more, that's awesome. I think the best way to really grow is to switch jobs. I know that sounds fucked, but like all of my friends that were stuck in jobs, they weren't growing. I'm like, go get a job somewhere else. You make 20% more. Come back to that company if you like that company so much, and they'll promote you and pay you more. When you switch companies, you make much more. So I'm fully caught up on Billions. All the seasons. I've seen them all. One of my favorite shows. Succession, Billions. I love shows like that. I'm all caught up. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be great. The interest rates are kind of balancing things out temporarily. What are ways to build your network? Going to conferences is a really cheap way to meet a lot of great people. Like if you go to like a Grant Cardone Tax, or it's like what, $100 for a ticket, and everyone in that stadium is all business focused. And I'm sure that like 10% or 20% or 30% of the people in there, or just thousands of people, are just like you in a similar situation, or on a couple situations, ahead of you in the game, and you can learn from that. They've failed, you can learn from their failures. So yeah, that's it. That's all the questions. I'm done. We done the stream for tonight. Ugh. Okay. The secret to unlocking a wealth through you guys. The secret to unlocking a wealth through you is 3 levers in your control of your financial future. Spend less, earn more, and maximize returns in the difference. We've been at this, 5 years now? 4 years? 2018 maybe, started streaming. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. See you guys next week.